In the first publicly acknowledged case of hot pursuit, the Indian Army Special Forces commandos along with the Indian Air Force went into Myanmar's territory and took down two groups of terrorists who were responsible for staging the attack in which 18 Indian Army Jawans were killed in Manipur. This is a whole new dimension of the anti-terror war. Hot pursuit is official Indian policy now. Joining me is my colleague Shiv Arur, who's been speaking to various officers in the army, trying to put together details about how this operation was carried out. We've done these kind of things earlier. We've never acknowledged it publicly. What's changed?
There's a sense of complete shock about the fact that the army actually came out and held a press conference about this, Rahul. They've issued a press release about this, and I'm telling you, this has already made international headlines. It's been picked up all over the world that the army has actually acknowledged an operation that in normal course would be the subject of huge measure of secrecy. One Mi-17 helicopter, at least 7 to 8 commandos of the 21 para special forces, all the most elite commandos available, handpicked by the army for this particular mission. It took apparently just about 2.5 to 3 hours. The entire mission took 2.5 to 3 hours. One location beyond in Myanmar's territory of the beyond the border with Manipur, and one of Nagaland's border. And that's
where this operation happened. Do we know how many fatalities on the side of the insurgents?
There's a little bit of speculation about the number of fatalities. We're hearing numbers anywhere between 15 and 24. There are some sources within the army saying it could be more. The standard response we're getting from the army is we're not ready to compromise any more intelligence about this.
I spoke to a senior general in army headquarters. He said, when we do a covert operation, we don't stay back to count our kills.
Absolutely.
We do what we need to and we evacuate. And we've been able to exfiltrate every single Jawan with no casualties.
Zero casualties, no damage to the helicopter, leaving nothing absolutely behind, and they've been able to recover certain equipment and certain incriminating material, obviously, which they will be able to use. Now, whether this ties in with the exclusive we did on your show yesterday on the newsroom about China's entire involvement in this entire exercise is something that's going to be a tantalizing possibility, given how intelligence agencies are going to be very interested in what the debrief of this operation is going to be.
The army headquarters did a press briefing. A major general level officer came out and spoke. They didn't reveal very much, but they acknowledged publicly that India actually carried out a hot pursuit operation. Now, this is something that's commonly done by China, by Israel, by Pakistan even, and also by the United States. But India so far has been very cagey to publicly acknowledge such operations and mount them on such a spectacular scale. Let's listen to what the army headquarters publicly admitted to this afternoon.
It was mandatory that an immediate response was warranted. And based on the intelligence that had been gathered by us, we conducted operations to counter these attacks. Early this morning, the Indian Army engaged two separate groups of militants along the Indo-Myanmar border at two different locations along the Nagaland and Manipur border. Significant casualties have been inflicted on the militants, and as a consequence of this operation, threats to our civilian population and the security forces personnel have been averted.
I want to go across now to General J.J. Singh, former Chief of the Indian Army Staff, former Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, a man who understands the Northeast better than most people in our country. Thank you very much, General Singh, for joining us on the newsroom. The first time that hot pursuit being publicly acknowledged as Indian policy. Is this a big message being sent out that you hurt us, we'll come after you no matter where you are, and we'll kill you?
Rahul, good evening. Firstly, I want to convey my sympathies for the martyrs who gave the supreme sacrifice recently and also before. Secondly, I want to congratulate the government of the day and the army and the units which took part in this operation, and for the wonderful work they have done and the very strong message that has been conveyed. I can tell you that the message is that whether they are state or non-state sponsors of terrorism, the terrorist will get terrorism back in his home where he is. There's no safe sanctuary for anyone, and we will be able to tell them that if you mess around with India, you'll have to pay.
Is this also via Myanmar,
General
Singh, a message being sent to Pakistan that next time there is a terror strike emanating from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or masterminded by elements in the ISI, and if it's tracked back to Pakistan, we will do inside POK what we've gone and done in Myanmar?
Well, I would like to say that in my answer to your first question, I have conveyed indirectly what India is capable of doing. The capability of the armed forces is now such that it will be not possible for people to get away if they commit crimes of this kind. It was a very cowardly attack carried out by the terrorists, and I would say the message to them is that they cannot sleep peacefully in their sanctuaries or safe havens. There are no sanctuaries or safe havens anymore.
So, last night on the newsroom, we broke the story of an intelligence bureau alert which spoke about how elements within China are now involved. There was a retired colonel from the People's Liberation Army who was named. There were two officials from the Interior Ministry who seem to be involved in bringing these disparate terror groups together, bringing them under one umbrella. How much of a threat do you believe this new Chinese game plan to be, sir?
Firstly, our relations with China, we should understand we are two major nations in Asia, and combined together we are perhaps 40% of the world. We have to have good relations with each other, and for doing that and achieving that, I do mean that our national security cannot be compromised, and therefore we would be ready to be able to have the best of relations based on certain fundamentals. Now, about the news which has come, I do not know the details, but I can say that some support was given to terrorists not only now but even 30 to 40 years ago, when the Muiwa, General Mao Angami and Muiwa had gone to the border areas of China and Myanmar, got training there, got weapons. And I was fortunately in operations in Nagaland at that time, when the whole gang of Mao Angami, self-styled General Mao Angami, was trapped by us. And therefore we got the evidence that all their weapons, which were brand new, were made from
but when
factories
former Prime Minister
have the
Rajiv
source
Gandhi
in China.
went to China in 1984, at that time it was decided that China, there was an agreement that China would stop interfering in India's northeast, stop meddling in Indian affairs. That now seems to be changing. How do you believe, General, India needs to deal with the question of Myanmar? There are several areas along the India border that are beyond the control of the junta in Myanmar as well. So those are completely ungoverned, lawless areas where the government says we don't know what's going on, and yet that's exactly where these terror groups are finding shelter. If our producers can just pull out that map and show you that these are forested areas, very little population, very little infrastructure in those areas. That's where these terrorists are operating, and Myanmar, unlike Bangladesh, hasn't been particularly helpful when it comes to ensuring that India's interests are not hurt.
Rahul, I know that area very well. I was fortunate to have led a battalion into the border areas with Myanmar 34 years ago. And I know what the challenges of such operations. I would like to congratulate the units which have done this action and come back without any loss of life. But it is possibly in the grey zone of the border area where these actions have happened, and really speaking, the forests are very dense. If you sort of study the geography of that, the geostrategy is there's a river called Chindwin, and on the Indian side of this river, towards the Indian side, the border areas of Myanmar are very remote. There are very few communications and very little in terms of quality of life for the people. I don't think many places have electricity even today. What I'm trying to say is the reach of the Myanmar army to certain areas in this area are very difficult. Totally forested area where no GPSs also will work. So you have to go by your map reading skills, surprise the terrorists. What I'm trying to say is hereafter the terrorists in their safe havens will not be able to sleep peacefully. That means the terrorism has been given back to the terrorists.
And that
so I think this is a very strong message.
That indeed is a very strong message. We've gone and acted very firmly in Myanmar. Do you believe it's time to possibly go after Hafiz Saeed or Dawood Ibrahim next? If we can take down terrorists in Myanmar, is that the next logical step, sir?
Well, I can't say that, but I'm just saying even this operation which it has been conducted, I don't know all the details, but I'm just saying that they are able to convey a very strong message. Our nation, our government has been able to convey a very strong message, and hopefully it shall be taken by everybody and not glossed over.
Okay, I'm going to leave it over there. A very strong message indeed. Terrorizing the terrorists. This is what we've been asking for several years now. So far it's been falling on deaf ears. Now finally the government of the day pays attention and goes after the terrorists. If you hurt us, we will come get you no matter where you are. That's the way the US does it. That's the way China does it. That's the way Israel does it. And that's the way hopefully India will do it as well from now on. A big day indeed for the war against terror. Let's quickly get you all the other big news stories that have made it to the newsroom tonight. The hunt for the missing Coast Guard Dornier has intensified. 3 P-8I surveillance aircraft, 5 Coast Guard ships, 4 Indian Navy ships are now involved in the search for the missing aircraft. The Dornier, with 3 crew members on board, went missing late Monday night. An Audi car collided head-on-head with a taxi on the Eastern Freeway near Chembur, killing 2 and injuring 4. The car was being driven by 35-year-old lawyer Janvi Gadkar, who was allegedly under the influence of alcohol. She's been charged with culpable homicide. Expelled RJD MP Pappu Yadav announced the formation of his own political outfit called the Jan Adhikar Party. He dubbed the Lalu Prasad Nitish Kumar combine as his enemy number 1 and made overtures to the BJP for an alliance in poll-bound Bihar. The Food and Drugs Administration in Goa has asked Nestle to recall all the stock of Maggi noodles from 709 outlets across the state. The stock will be destroyed in the presence of authorities a week later. A boy in Hyderabad was arrested after he sneaked into the enclosure of a jaguar at the city. Arib Mehdi passed into the enclosure with the help of an animal keeper. He put on pictures on Facebook of him pulling the leg of the jaguar, which led to his arrest. We've got breaking news coming in now that Jitender Singh Tomar has resigned as the Law Minister of Delhi. This after he was sent to police custody for 4 days. The Delhi government has accepted his resignation. Tomar quits after he was remanded to police custody for 4 days in the fake degree case. Tomar was arrested by the Delhi police this morning. His arrest sparked a massive war of words between the ruling Aam Aadmi Party and the opposition BJP in the capital. Tomar will now be questioned by the Delhi police in custody. After the court order, Tomar was taken to the Hoskhas police station. Delhi cops may also take Tomar to different universities in connection with the fake degree probe. The Aam Aadmi Party will appeal against the lower court verdict and has refused to comment on the ruling, saying it respects the law.
The Indian Army, based on very specific intelligence.
So the big breaking story tonight is that Jitender Singh Tomar, the former Law Minister of Delhi, has stepped down. The Aam Aadmi Party was so far brazenly trying to defend what he'd done, saying that this was excessive action by the Delhi police. He now has been forced to step down. This story breaking just moments before now. I want to go across to the Delhi police PRO. Rajan Bhagat is joining us on the newsroom this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Bhagat. The Delhi police coming in for a lot of criticism. You know, was it really necessary to go out and arrest the Law Minister of Delhi on the issue of fake degrees? Does this not seem like an act of political vendetta rather than just pure law enforcement? Mr. Rajan Bhagat, do you hear me? Mr. Bhagat, is this an act of political vendetta, sir?
No, this is not correct. As a statutory body, Bar Council of Delhi, Honorary Secretary had given a complaint on 11th of May to the DCP South, and that was marked to the police station on 13th May. Thereafter, as per the Honorable Supreme Court guideline, Lalita Kumari versus State of UP, inquiry was done for almost 25-26 days, and thereafter FIR was registered. There was no haste, and it has been done as per the laid down laws and procedures.
This is not rape, this is not murder, this is not a heinous crime. How many people are arrested because of a charge of a fake degree? When the police moves with such alacrity in a case with a relatively minor offence, it does suggest that something extraordinary is going on, which could be driven by motives which are not purely related to police.
No, this is not correct. The Honorable Supreme Court guideline, which I quoted just now, that says in the cases where punishment is more than 7 years, and here the sections which has been invoked for this offence is having punishment of 10 years. So therefore there is no such haste, and it has been done almost as per the procedures laid down in the Supreme Court judgment.
Now the Aam Aadmi Party is saying that this is political vendetta, that this is being done at the behest of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Was there a political directive in this case, or has this been done purely at the level of the police commissioner? And in any case, the Delhi police too has had rather frayed relations with the Aam Aadmi Party recently.
A complaint from a statutory body was received in the police station, and as per the Honorable Supreme Court guideline in Lalita Kumari versus State of UP, in which this guideline has been laid down how to go about all such complaints. An inquiry was conducted from almost all the places for almost 25-26 days, and thereafter this case was registered and investigation taken up. There was no pressure or any directive. This law has taken its own course.
But Mr. Bhagat, the Aam Aadmi Party is saying that, take for example HRD Minister Smriti Irani, she too faces charges of a fake degree. Now if you apply the same logic, the cops should be moving as fast against her as well.
I'm not aware about that case, and I don't know what is the similarity or difference. Therefore, I will not be commenting upon that. But in this case, from the facts, I can clearly say everything has been done as per the laid down procedures, laws and instructions of the Apex Court in various orders, and this complaint was from a statutory body where these forged documents have been used, and these documents, how these documents have been prepared and how these documents have been used, and this thing needs a thorough investigation and probe. Therefore, it was necessary to register FIR and to affect this.
Mr. Bhagat, one final question before I let you go. We're now in a situation where there's a complete and total breakdown of the relationship between the Delhi government and the Delhi police. Now, Kejriwal will be in office for the next 4.5 years. How can the state's police commissioner and the chief minister be at loggerheads? How will the situation continue over the next few years, sir?
This thing should be taken as it's a case in which a criminal offence complaint has been received, and police has acted as per the law, and they have taken action as per the law, and there is no such thing, and we are abide by to follow the law, and we will follow the law.
I'm going to leave it over there. Rajan Bhagat, Delhi Police PRO, for joining me tonight on the newsroom. Thank you very much. I want to go across now quickly to my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who covers the Aam Aadmi Party for us. The law minister being forced to step down. Ankit, what does the AAP government intend to do next? This is a massive embarrassment for Arvind Kejriwal and his party.
That's right. In fact, the party on its, the sources are saying that the law minister has resigned on account of morality. But the question was that when these issue came forward, why didn't the minister resign at that point of time? but the belief in the party is that they were in fact backing him to the hilt. After the court has sent him for this 4-day remand, Rahul, the message that has gone out is that the court also finds prima facie some strength in what the Delhi police's investigation is. Leave aside entire politics on how he was picked up and what else was done. If the court has sent him, that is what has forced the Aam Aadmi Party and the government, in fact, to make sure that Jitender Singh Tomar resigns and they can somehow manage or at least minimize the damage that is now henceforth. What my sources are also telling me, the resignation has been sent to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, and there is a meeting that is going on right now, and post the meeting, his resignation most likely is going to be accepted also. Apart from that, the party, the government is going to maintain some distance between them and Jitender Singh Tomar, but the party will keep on supporting him. They still believe that he has papers that he can prove his innocence in the court, and when the final verdict in the court after this case would come, Jitender Singh Tomar will come out, with
okay, I'm going to leave it over there. Ankit Tyagi for joining us in the newsroom. Thank you very much. We're slipping into a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll have Colonel Rajyavardhan Singh Rathore, INB Minister, joining us on this broadcast with more details about the big operation carried out by the Indian Army, and we'll also focus on how top Indian designers are coming together to try and help revive the traditional handloom weaving industry of Varanasi. We'll go across for a live report.